Hello everyone and welcome to It Goes Off. It's wrap of the round time and we're heading into the All-Star break and it's Christmas time, so Merry Christmas to everyone out there and hopefully you have a great Christmas and more importantly a safe one. Grantley, heading into the All-Star break, we've just coming off round 11 and it was one that as we head into this break, who would have thought that the Sydney Kings and Wollongong Hawks would be occupying two of the top four positions?
Probably those that tipped them to finish in the playoffs would have. But
not sure you did that.
I think I might have.
I'm pretty sure you did.
And look at the tape. Anyway, if we're talking road safety over the Christmas period, the Cairns Taipans weren't too safe on the road on the weekend, were they? 0-2, and they're in all sorts of frost.
Yes, they sort of took one step forward the week before, but then against Wollongong, a big win at home against the Wollongong Hawks, but then dropping two on the road. Just a minor speed hump that they've ran into, but Grantley, talk us through all the winners and losers of last weekend's action.
Certainly. Well, the Taipans were overseas to start last weekend's round. They lost to the New Zealand Breakers 97-76. Cedric Jackson for the Breakers just keeps on keeping on. 22 points on 11 of 13 shooting.
Brilliant.
8 assists. The Breakers, they got on top of this one with a 33-19 second quarter. For the Taipans, Jamar Flip Wilson with 18 points. The Wollongong Hawks, 78 over the Perth Wildcats, 75 in a nice tight one at the Gong. Lance Hurdle with 18 points for the Hawks, who pretty much got on top here with a 23-9 third quarter for the Wildcats. Kevin Lish had 17 points. And the import, Mike Dunnigan.
There he is.
12 points and 16 rebounds.
16?
He is working towards another contract somewhere at some stage. The Adelaide 36ers made it 4 straight losses when they lost at home to the Townsville Crocodiles, 75-80. Big Luke Schenscher, 18 points, 12 rebounds for the Sixers. For the Crocs, Gary Irvin, 21 points. Irvin has been pretty good for the Crocs over the past month. Peter Crawford with the go-ahead free throws, with 1 minute and 46 seconds left in the game. An overtime thriller between the Kings and the Wollongong Hawks. The Kings 70 to the Hawks 63 in the end. Ian Crosswhite had 14 points, 11 boards for the Kings. The Kings got 27 points from second chances and turnovers. The Hawks, Reece Martin, had 16 points. Finally, the Melbourne Tigers 83 over the Cairns Taipans 77. A rare win for the Tigers. Chris Golding had 27 points. The Tigers had 44-28 points in the paint. They had a 30-16 second quarter to really set up that win. And again, Jamar Flip Wilson for the Taipans, 26 points and 7 rebounds.
And it was one of the more spectacular quarters of basketball we saw in the second quarter with the Melbourne Tigers against the Cairns Taipans, with Chris Golding had 18 points in the second quarter. He ended up with 20 in the first half, and it was just an offensive explosion. And you saw glimpses, Grantley, and I know you think that I'm incredibly biased on this. You saw glimpses of what the Melbourne Tigers are capable of in that game. Right, still not talking about the Melbourne Tigers. Wow. Let's take a look at the Ironnet NBL ladder, and at the top of the table, no surprises there. The New Zealand Breakers and the Perth Wildcats occupying 1 and 2. And then you've got, a bit of a surprise in the Wollongong Hawks and the Sydney Kings. And the Sydney Kings just keep on keeping on. They're 9 and 5 now in that very strong win over the Wollongong Hawks. And then the Adelaide 36ers, you've been banging on about them for quite some time. They weren't able to turn around their fortunes against the last place Townsville Crocs at home. And they came up short. So they're 5 and 7. And there's just a bit of a gap, isn't there, Grantley, between the top 4 and the rest of the field? The Adelaide 36ers, Cairns Taipans 4 at 8, and the Melbourne Tigers at 3 at 8, and the Townsville Crocs at 3 and 10 on a 3-game winning streak. Maybe not out of the playoffs equation, but really, someone in the top 4 has to fall over. And right now, when you look at the form, Grantley, of those top 4 teams, it's hard to see any of them falling over.
The top 4 are the form teams, quite rightly. You know, Sydney's won 3 in a row. Adelaide's lost 4 in a row. Then Cairns, Melbourne and Townsville just aren't convincing at all. I just don't think that any team goes in against Cairns, Melbourne and Townsville really thinking that they're going to lose the game. Having said that, Townsville on a 3-game losing streak might be starting to change some opinions.
Well, that's true. I think Luke Neville's had a big impact on the Townsville Crocs, and I also think that if you look at the Cairns Taipans, as the season rolls on, you just get the impression, well, I certainly did on Sunday against Melbourne, the loss of Ian Crosswhite in the middle, not having that big presence and that go-to guy down low, is really affecting them. Hey, Grantley, we got to say well done too to the players of the month and the coach of the month, because we're heading into the All-Star break. We've got one more round, the New Year's Eve type round to go, but the players of the month, the coach of the month are Cedric Jackson and Andre Lamatis. Hard to argue against either of those.
Yeah, look, we've talked about Cedric Jackson till the cows come home.
He's a beauty.
He has been fantastic. I see he's been talked about, on the outside circles of perhaps an NBA call-up.
As he should be.
Which is great for him.
Not great for the New Zealand Breakers.
Not great for the Breakers, but great for him, great for the league.
It is.
And, he's obviously, getting notice where you need to be noticed.
Unquestionably the form player in the competition, and right now if you're having an MVP voting, there'd need to be some sort of testing going on if you didn't think Cedric Jackson would be the man. I think that he's head and shoulders at the minute above everyone else.
Yeah, look, he's there, but I guess
He's there?
He's there.
You're not quite as buoyant about Cedric as I am.
He's there.
Right.
But I guess the beauty of the MVP voting is that a lot of people have a chance.
Right, that's
true.
true.
I think you're forgetting about our boy, Ben Madgen.
Correct. He just had that shoulder injury the last couple of weeks. He's been good without being...
You just go with the flow, don't you?
As brilliant as he was earlier on in the season.
I will keep pushing up Ben.
I like it.
Right? I'll keep pushing up Benny Madgen.
We've both been pushing him up, don't you?
But you're very quick to forget.
You're trying to exclusively claim...
You are very quick to forget.
No, I have not forgotten. Hey, that's all we have time for, but to keep up to date with all the goings on, this is the place to be, and that is nbl.com.au, and follow the action on One. Both games last weekend were on One, but it's on One on Fridays, usually Channel 10 on Sundays, and NBL TV for every single game. You can also follow the NBL players on Twitter and Facebook. Great way to reach out and have a conversation with us or with any of the NBL players out there.
And the NBL All-Star game this weekend will be on TV on Saturday.
It's going to be on Saturday, and it's an afternoon game. Saturday at 2 p.m. tip-off, so tune in. A little bit different. A lot of people around, out and about were thinking that it was going to be Saturday night. No, that is incorrect. Saturday afternoon is where the All-Star game is going to be at. I'm going to be there. You're going to be watching on the telly, I'm sure.
Is there going to be any slap and tickle?
There is going to be, when the game is on, no slap and tickle. There might be a little slap and tickle going on the dunk contest and three-point shootout, but when they cross that white line, it's all going to be happening. Hey, that's all we have time for. In fact, we're just a touch over time, but we need to say Merry Christmas to everyone and enjoy the festive season. And we also have to pay thanks to those that support us. And it all starts with a naming rights sponsor, iNet.
Connect better.
10.
And 1.
Spalding.
And far.
And Virgin Australia. And don't forget to check in a little later in the week for the ticket off section of It Goes Off on the #1 podcast in the universe for the iNet NBL. And it's called It Goes Ho 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 Off.